Okay, cool. Welcome to the late edition of the locker room. The reason why we were late was the studio had water in it, so we had to double check if the game was on or not. But it went to VAR, so that's why it took 12 minutes. So welcome to the locker room. It's nice to be here. Hello, are you still there? Hello, hello. Oh no, everybody's went away now, because it's not 5 o'clock. I'm joined tonight by Stephen Rosyth. How's it going, Stephen?
I'm alright, how are you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Thanks for forking out the water out the park to be here, so that's good. Reagan, how's it going?
I'm not bad. Thanks for having me on. It's been a bad trouble getting here with all the things happening up north, but finally got here. So,
Yep, and I've got to say a massive thank you to Mr. Duffy. He wasn't meant to be on this week, actually. He was in his holly bags. I think he was actually holding down his caravan with his two hands, and just in case water went into it. He might not be happy he's here, but tough. Hi, Graham.
All right, chaps, how's it going?
Yeah.
I'm not bad, man.
Yeah, I know we're not your flavour of the month at the moment, but there you go. So, yeah, welcome to the locker room. We're here until 7 o'clock tonight. Don't forget, if anybody's watching, if nobody's went away, that is, you can comment on the video on YouTube or Facebook or on Facebook. So let's begin, and we're going to talk about Scotland very, very quickly because me and Graham was on last Friday night, was it? Yeah, no, first night it was when we played Spain in that game, but we haven't had Reagan or Stephen on to have the reaction to the game and for us to qualify. Way to the Euros next year. So, what's your take on the campaign overall, guys?
I think it's been a fantastic campaign. I don't think anybody would have had us one in the first 5 out of 5, but we managed to do it. You get people like Simon Jordan coming out and saying it's not a great achievement. Well, I'm here to tell you that it's an absolutely fantastic achievement for this squad of players. I felt we were really hard done by. I know everybody's probably had their say on it, but how that Scott McTominay goals chopped off against Spain, I have absolutely no clue. And all right, I might be clutching at straws a wee bit because I should be happy that we're qualified, but if that goal counts, I have no doubt in my mind that we go on to take something for that game and then turn win the group. But in my opinion, this is a squad of players that can really go to the Euros and do something and get out of the group, hopefully for the first time ever.
Reagan, I assume you agree with that?
I mean, definitely. I mean, Scotland have done really well under Steve Clarke, and it just shows you with some of the players he's brought into the squad as well. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but I think some of the a lot of the players that we've had, I think we used to get like 10 call-offs at a time, and what Steve Clarke's done with the squad mentality as well is a big thing, because for me, even some of the players that don't play that often, all the players are still there and they're still wanting to be there. So,
Stephen, I go back to that game in Oslo, and for me, that was the defining moment for me because that was we were awful in that game, 1-0 down, deservedly so, although it wasn't a penalty. But then to go and not only get an equaliser from Dykes, to then go and win the game from Kenny McLean, I think at that moment, that was when I thought we're going to qualify for this.
That turned it. I put out a tweet after that game that when Kenny McLean scored that it cured my cerebral palsy for a solid 30 seconds. But that was it. You're right, Graham. You're spot on. That was the turning point, because if we would have lost that game, then Norway would have been right up our coattails. But to turn that around in the fashion that we did was remarkable. And then you go into the game I think it was a Tuesday night against Georgia, where we did everything in our power to make sure that the game was actually finished. So I think those two games, you might not include the Georgia game in it, but the fact that we managed to get it played, get another 3 points on the board, and the minute we beat Georgia, I was tempted to book my flights then to Frankfurt, but I was patient enough and I waited to after we beat Cyprus away. But it's good because quite often I used to hate the international breaks, guys. I don't know about you, but I used to dread them. And now I actually look forward to them. I can't wait to watch Scotland play, and that just shows you what Steve Clarke's done for the country and done for the squad.
Graham, how big a blow is it for, well, first of all, Scotland, Liverpool, sorry, but also Scotland, that the news came out today that Andy Robertson will be out for a few months?
Gutted, absolutely gutted. And that's, Steve, we've mentioned the referee at the time. I mean, the fact that he gave a free kick to the keeper for that when he challenged Robertson, and Robertson's now out for 3 months, was a joke. And it looked a bad one at the time. It looked a pretty serious one. And it's unlike Robertson to miss many games. For him to miss now the next 3 months is horrendous. We've got other options there, though. You've got Greg Taylor. Hopefully, you've got Kieran Tierney back as well. You do have options there. But it's a huge, huge blow for Scotland. And for Liverpool as well. Liverpool play Everton tomorrow, Merseyside derby. We're going to have to play Costas Tsimikas, I'm not a massive fan of. But it's a huge, huge blow. But do you know what? It's kind of maybe a good thing right now for Scotland that he's, these next 2 games against Georgia and Norway don't really matter because they're qualified. It's a chance to bring other players in and see what they can do for going to Euros. But it's a huge, huge blow. And as Vito says here, at the end of the day, beating Spain followed by winning away in Oslo, along with the no nervous slip-ups against decent Georgia and Cyprus, is a great achievement. And he also says that was news made with Robertson. Oh dear, yes, it's just horrendous. But honestly, Scotland right now are on a very good place, and I think there'll be other players now that can look into that squad now, like I've just mentioned with Greg Taylor, and think, right, I've got a chance now. I doubt he'll start in Germany. That'll be under Robertson. But what a chance you've got now for somebody else to step up and stake a claim now in these next 2 games. That it's weird. We're sitting here now in October with 2 games still to go, and we've qualified. That's just a crazy, crazy stat.
Yeah, I'd agree, but I think as well, if I can just intervene there. You see, the games still matter because I think we still need 4 points to ensure that we're in pot 2 come the draw for the Euros. So, but listen, I think what we will do is I think we'll put, if Tierney's not back, then we'll just put Nathan Patterson at right back and move Aaron Hickey over to the left and put somebody else in at centre half because he's quite comfortable to do that.
I know it's only a friendly, but I know we weren't on the show. What did you make of the France game? Obviously, up against a top quality team, Billy Gilmore got his first goal for Scotland. What a way to score it. But I was genuinely surprised how strong France went. But I actually have to say, with the ball, I actually thought Scotland played quite well.
And we did. I thought we played no bad. I mean, I expected the typical Steve Clarke tactics in terms of being very hard to beat, but I thought we actually, even got hold of the ball, I thought we actually did play pretty well. And I thought when Billy scored that goal, I was thinking of James McFadden 1-0. When Scotland be able to snatch a 1-0 from France, but no. But I just think in general, it's great to play these teams. I listened to someone the other night tell me that it's no good to play these friendlies against the bigger teams. I think for me, it's see as long as they qualify and then we play these friendlies in between. These are great for the squad to learn. No consequences, but also it's very tough opposition for it as well. So, no, I'm pretty happy again.
It's the perfect thing to do to play the games that we've played. It's absolutely perfect because come Germany, come June, you're only going to have one of these 3 teams of that calibre in your group, like a Spain, a France, and an England. You're not going to need to beat them back to back to get out of a group. So the players now have the experience of coming up against sides like this. That was your B side that took the lead against France's A team the other night. And we passed the ball a bit brilliantly. So it just shows you how strong a squad we actually have. We've got a really strong squad. And I'm looking at it and I'm disappointed at the goals that we lost.
Yeah.
Right.
set pieces, a counter attack, and a penalty is how France have beat us. So it's not as if they've ripped us apart, cut us open. We've more than held our own in that game with a lot of players that would normally start. No starting. So
What I quite liked that Steve Clark did is he swapped the goalkeepers at half time. He gave Liam Kelly a half and he gave Xander Clark a half. I thought it was actually quite a good thing to do as well.
loved it. And there's something that I want to touch on now that you mentioned the goalkeepers. You actually lead me into it pretty nicely. Craig Gordon's back. He's now back fit. I know, brilliant. No, I'm great to see him back after an absolutely horrendous injury. Surely he's got to have one eye on the place in that Euro squad.
When I went off camera there for a minute, Stephen, I heard you saying about you think it very tough to watch Scotland. Me and Graham been saying the whole thing through the whole campaign, and I think back to the Ireland game, Graham, when we done that show, when Ireland beat us, what is it, 3-0, they beat us over there as well.
Yeah,
But I mean, it's like night and day, like sitting here compared to. I mean, I would love to watch that show back, Graham, because I think it would be the total opposite from what we were saying against even Spain at home as well. So there's a good feel good factor at the moment in Scotland, Graham.
Yeah, there was a lot of folk, and I think I listened back to another couple of podcasts as well, not ours, but another couple of ones. And somebody mentioned the fact that when Steve Clark signed that new deal, a lot of folk thought it was a bad idea because he'd failed to, the Euros last time weren't great. We didn't qualify for a World Cup, and people were saying, it's a bad idea. It turned out to be a great idea because he thoroughly deserves that new contract. He really does. He's got us to back-to-back Euros. We've got, again, depending on who we get, every chance to get through the group. But that Ireland game, we did that show, I remember it, because I was raging at the time. And it just goes to show how things can turn very quickly. It's a brilliant, brilliant run. And again, like what Stephen said there, I heard as well what Simon Jordan said, but Simon Jordan knew what he's doing. He wanted to get views. He wanted to get folk phoning in. That's why he did that. He knows exactly what he's doing for that. Fair enough, he's got bites out of that. He knows full well that what Scotland have done is fantastic. And we qualify before England as well, so we can get that right up him. But yeah, I honestly think the job that Steve Clark has done has been incredible. It really has. And if he gets out the group at the Euros, that would just be sensational. What a manager he's been. And I actually had somebody say it a couple of days ago as well. If we didn't have Steve Clark, I don't know who else we could have got that would be better than what he's done. Because he's done an incredible job. He really has.
So from all the locker room team, we would like to say, Simon Johnson, we love you. We want you to not come on the show anytime soon. But thanks for watching, mate. And Graham was saying, kick it up, yeah. So there we go. I can say it now because I thought we only going to go on the show about 14 minutes ago. So, I'm swept away. Archie McPherson, sorry, that was a bad impression of Archie there. So we are going to try and make a show out of the next maybe 2 hours. All the games are on this weekend. I'm going to run through the games that are off very quickly. Premiership game, Aberdeen against Dundee. And also, before I talk about the other games as well, I don't know if you guys knew that the Aberdeen game and Dundee game was a 6 o'clock kickoff. I only presume that it would be on ESPN again. Graham, I don't know if you've heard anything more.
That'll be for the American owners, I think. They want a couple of
they've done that a few times last season, actually, when the game was at Dens Park. And I'm sure when Dundee United was in the top flight as well against Aberdeen as well. So there you go. Okay, so that's that game off. Aberdeen Dundee. St Johnstone Motherwell. In the Championship tomorrow, we've got a blow-off against Raith Rovers. League 1, Cove Rangers against Minclose. League 2, Elgin City against Forfar. And Scotland League 2, Skinra against I'm dying to say this, like Peter Heath. Sorry if I've offended people up there, but I don't really care. So these games are off tomorrow because of the storm. And by the way, it's not Storm, it's on Channel 5, it's a different storm. Sorry, that was a bad joke, actually. Okay, so these games are off. Stephen, I was looking forward to the game tomorrow only because I had we had got an interview with Stuart Kettlewell lined up, and also I wrote notes about the press conference now, but they can go in the bin. But what I was saying was yesterday that he was very pleased with the goalkeeper. The name escapes me at the moment. That he made his debut for Scotland. Jordan Leak. Yeah, exactly. He saved my bacon there. It's been a long day.
No, I'm actually quite glad the game's off because it will allow us to get players like Mika Bereth and Callum Butcher another week closer to fitness. I mean, Callum Butcher trained this week. I don't think he would have started because he's just back, and then Mika is expected to be back in training next Thursday. So it allows us to get those guys a wee bit closer to fitness, and I didn't fancy going up to St Johnstone out of Perth when it'd be absolutely freezing because it's one of the coldest stadiums in Scotland due to how open it is. So I'm relatively pleased that the game's off. Although we need a win, no, I'm pretty happy with it because, as I say, it gets players closer to fitness for us.
Yeah, I know. And also I sat through Stuart Kettlewell's press conference yesterday, the likes of you as well, Stephen. But I can listen to Stuart Kettlewell talking all day. He just loves Motherwell, but also he loves football.
He just calls it as he sees it, Michael. He's right in the middle, and he says what the fans are thinking, and I think that's always a good thing. When you get a manager that sees the game the way the fans do. I mean, we had a terrible performance against Livingston, and they came out and they said it was one of the worst performances this season. Although that game did turn in a sending off, but no, I'm looking forward to just sitting in the house tomorrow, watching the scores come in, and not needing to worry about Motherwell getting a 50 feet in the bounce potentially. So, no, it's a nice relaxing Saturday. And for once, I'm guaranteed Motherwell not to get beat this weekend, so it's positive.
I mean, basically, what Stuart Kettlewell was saying about the game, it was meant to be on until half the game before they cancelled it. That, they were performing well, Stephen, but as you know, you can have, 25 shots in goal, but at the end of the day, it's all about putting the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, and I think that's been a symptom of our games, particularly the ones against St Mirren and the two against the Old Firm, that we were creating chances, but they just weren't going in for us. The worrying thing about that is that's when you're playing well and you're not winning. If we now have a little dip in form and we don't start getting results, we could find ourselves in a wee bit of a rut. But I look at the squad that we've got, particularly the midfield. Once we get Mika Bereth back, I'm expecting us to start winning games again, and hopefully Connor Wilkinson can get closer to starts as well because he's been on the bench and Theo Bear's been playing ahead of him. No disrespect to Theo Bear, he tries his heart out, gives 100% every game, but I've yet to see any signs that he's going to be a clinical goal scorer for us. So hopefully we can get some more options back up front and start climbing the table because I don't really like the fact that I've been able to slag Graham for a couple of weeks and now I'm finding myself in a position where his heart's sided above my Motherwell team. So we need to rectify that as soon as possible.
It's not gonna last.
Are you confident about that?
Well,
I'm not confident about anything, to be honest.
I'm not going to slag Mr. Duffy off tonight because he says give a bacon, so there you go. And you will get that Christmas card to you next year when I get the money to send you a first class stamp on the card. Another man that would be relieved that the game's off tomorrow, Reagan, would be Stephen McLean. I kind of feel a bit sorry for him at the press conference when he talks about the game, because he feels like he feels as though he's like a lonely figure at the moment as well. And basically that what he was saying about the game that's not on now, that we should have beat Livingston, but now we're trying to beat Motherwell, and we need to start winning games. But there's only so many times they can say that, Reagan.
I mean, I think the big thing for me, Michael, is I don't think it's been fair on like Steve McLean, Stephen Naismith and things, because these guys are still very young in the managerial time. So it's difficult for them, because at the end of the day, these guys are still learning, and they're probably through in too early.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think the only decent performance that Johnson had so far, Graham, was at Parkhead, and St Johnson there they won the game in the end because Stephen May had a brilliant chance at the end to get all 3 points. But I know Reagan and all that would say Celtic were pretty poor that day, what they were. But St Johnson had a job to do, and they went there and got a decent point.
Yeah, I mean, it's very rare that a team goes to Celtic Park and keeps a clean sheet. And St John's managed to do that. I know that Celtic had chances to score, but just couldn't take them. And that was a massive result. And you kind of thought after that, could that be a turning point for St Johnstone? It's not really been even a couple of decent results, but nothing major. And I think a bit as well, like Stevens Mother always talk about a lack of a clinical striker without Michael Beers and stuff. St Johnstone have had that all season. They don't have a clinical forward on the team. Stevie May is a good player, but he's not clinical enough for me. And they don't have anyone else. So they've got to start taking their chances when they get them. I think the Livingston game for me, at McDermott Park, they should have won that game. And I said at the time the decision to give Livingston a penalty was a poor decision for the referee. But they've got to take these chances in those kind of games. That result at Celtic Park should have given them confidence. I don't really think it has, but there's a long way to go. There's a long way to go in the season, but I still do believe, as many folk do, I think, that St Johnstone could go down this season. They just don't have enough quality. I think defensively they're all right, but it's just that forward line. They just don't score goals. What they need to do is keep in and about the teams above them going into January and try and get a couple of players in January, but it's going to be very difficult.
That's the thing, though, isn't it? I mean, you would look at Ross County, would claim that they would have a winnable game this weekend at home, although they're playing a good St Mirren side. They still fancy that at home. If we were to then go and beat St Johnstone if the game was on, they would find themselves cut adrift a wee bit already. And what you've said there, Graham, is backed up by the stats, because I think at one point in the game against Aberdeen, they had 9 shots at goal with none on target. So struggling to hit the target. You don't hit the target, you're not going to score goals, you know what I mean? So, but they're keeping clean sheets. So what you're saying there is backed up.
I wasn't going to talk about this issue, but Paul Donaldson makes a brilliant point, and it's something that we could basically fill the show with later on, actually, about me and Graham's favourite subject, TV, and we'll come back to talk about that as well. But basically, what he was saying was the Aberdeen game wouldn't have been on TV. The club decided to move it to allocate people who could normally make a flare clock kickoff goal. But it means we still haven't had a flare clock game on a Saturday at home yet. We'll come back to speak about that, because you've actually given me a few ideas that I'm going to talk to the guys about later on in the show. So thanks for bringing that up, Paul. If you want to comment, you know what to do. Do it on Facebook. but don't do it if you're up in Inverness or Aberdeen if you're in the boat, because your phone might get wet tonight as well. And hopefully everybody's okay, actually, because it looks worse when you're watching the Google News as well. And I've got a big shout out to the reporters that's out and about at the morning. They're getting blown about. So hopefully they are okay. That's my sympathy vote over for this week. Kilmarnock and Livingston tomorrow. It's going to be, well, I suppose this could be, Graham, I better watch what I'm saying, but this could be like the plastic derby tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think I've said a couple of times during the season that certain games are not going to be classic. I think this is going to be filed under that. I've said that before, it's been wrong. But yeah, I don't see a lot of goals in this game tomorrow. It could be a decent game. At least it'll probably go ahead because of the plastic pitch. But I mean, I'll probably make Kelly slight favourites because they are at home. Livingston, as I said before, I'm still not overly convinced of them this season. I think, again, they've been very up and down so far this season. Kilmarnock at home look a decent side, though. Obviously, Hearts beat them at Rugby Park in the Cup, but they look a decent side at home. I think I've said before, I'm a big fan of Danny Armstrong. He could be a real match winner tomorrow. But I think it'll be very close. Livingston, for me, have got to start picking up points at some point, because I still think they're going to be round that kind of relegation area. I think they'll be 11th. I think they're going to be a real battle this season. So they've got to be looking at this game tomorrow and thinking, we need to get points here. You know, the last game they did manage to win it. Joe Newbley actually played well the last game they played. He, again, could be a huge threat. But yeah, I kind of think that Kilmarnock might just edge this one, but very, very tight. But I'm not expecting a classic game, though.
Okay, so here was Derek McKenna speaking to the media today about the game tomorrow against Livingston at Rugby Park. Okay, I think we're having some technical problems. Hopefully we'll have Derek, or some people call him Dale, back on the show and talking about the game tomorrow. What about this game, Stephen? Kilmarnock against Livingston?
El Plastico, as we're going to call it. But no, I don't think it's going to be a classic. I mean, I was obviously at the Motherwell Livingston game before the international break. Before the sending off to Lennon Miller, I don't think Livingston looked anything special. I thought, well, the teams at 11v11 for the majority of that first half, it looked like a boring 0-0 for that first 45 minutes all over it. I think we actually had the best chance at the back post with Brody Spencer, just heads one just by the post. Livingston didn't really cut us open until we went down to 10 men, whereas Kilmarnock, they're at home, so they'll fancy themselves. But Livingston were the only side out with the Old Firm. One of the only sides out with the Old Firm. No, they were the only side. I got the start right. I'll get it right eventually. They were the only side out with the Old Firm to go to Rugby Park and win last season. So they know that they can win there because they've done it before. And this Kilmarnock side that they're facing aren't on as strong home form as the one that they faced last season. So I think they'll fancy their chances. But to me, El Plastico is get a boring 0-0 written all over it. What do you think, Megan?
I think Derek will have them set up very well, and I think they'll probably just nick it, because for me, I mean, as Graham was saying, but previously, I mean, Danny Armstrong's a player I like as well, Stephen. So
yep.
I think he could be the real match winner for them tomorrow. I know David Martin, he'll have them set up very well, but I expect Derek to take the 3 points home tomorrow for Indonesia, especially because when you look at them, they beat Rangers. I thought they actually played okay at Celtic Park. They probably could have got a draw at Celtic Park. They played really well against against Hearts in the Viaplay Cup as well. So I think they've actually played okay so far this season. So if I was to pick a winner, it'd probably be the home team.
So now we're going to hear, hopefully this time, Derek McInnes speaking to the media about the game tomorrow against Libby. Well, I'll tell you what he's saying about the game, Reagan. Right? He says that he hasn't. He's looking forward to the game tomorrow. I'm just making this up because I haven't actually saw the press conference yet. Yeah. So yeah. Hopefully we'll hear from Derek McInnes this side of Christmas. So what about your pal Reagan? You tipped the man to be sacked 2 seasons ago, wasn't it? And he's still there, Reagan. So he's doing not a bad job.
No, he is. He's doing a great job, isn't he? Is it? We talking? Who's his pal? Is his pal McInnes or Martindale?
David Martindale.
Martindale, right? I know. Listen, I think he said this week that he'd be at Livingston as long as they wanted him there. So,
Yep.
He's at a contract in the summer, and he said that I'm even happy to work without a contract. I don't know how that would quite work, but David Martindale says he would work at Livy for nothing. Maybe that would help him get a better budget because that's all he seems to go on about in his press conferences. So maybe if he worked for nothing, he'd be able to bring in a higher quality player. But no, I'll just turn my camera back on so you can see me. I think he's done a fantastic job at Livingston, and I'm actually surprised that somebody else has come in for him. He's one of the managers that have just kind of went under the radar, went about his job, and Livingston, no team has a divine right to be in the league. We've seen sides like Hearts and Hibs and Rangers, to name a few, go down. And sorry, I just had to get that in there in previous years. But
I felt that there.
The fact that he's managed to keep Livingston in the division and actually at times look as if they're going to be close to pushing for European top 6 kind of a places at points in seasons. I think he deserves huge credit because, as he keeps telling us, he's not one with the biggest budget in the world, is he? So,
do you think somebody else might take a punt on him?
Well, I look at the amount of teams that have lost managers over the time that he's been there. You could even include ourselves. Maybe I would say that we're a more attractive proposition than Livy. With the likes of Hearts and Hibs definitely, and none of them have kind of went near them. So I think maybe go down and do a job in League One in England, League Two, maybe go down south because it seems as if up here nobody wants him, which by the way I'm shocked at. Are you still surprised that he's not at least been tipped with jobs?
It's very interesting that you're saying that, Stephen, because again, me and Mr. Duffy, we do get on well. We talk about football a lot. That's why we do the show. And we've been talking about this issue for I don't know how long, Graham. And when Cam Davison was at the job at St Mirren, at St Johnson, sorry. But do you feel as though it's a bit of kind of football snobbery in terms of like it's only Livingston, it's only St Johnson, whereas if he was at Hearts or maybe Hibs or something like that, the clubs would look at him. It's just because he's at a bottom 6 club side we kind of no money to spend, but I mean he's doing a brilliant job. I don't know about you, Reagan, but that's how I feel about it.
It definitely is. I know you always used to say to me that I was being too hard on him. I was just saying that partly because I didn't like the Classic Park, so I was hoping that they would eventually go down for the good of Scottish football. But I think that this season is looking more like St Johnstone again. So no,
I think what you get with Martindale is very refreshing honesty. You know, he's very honest about his past, very open about his past. He talks very open about his players and stuff, and he is a very honest guy. And I think he's the kind of guy that would be really good at a bigger club. He's not going to get the old firm, one of the old firm jobs, let's be honest, but he would be good for a team like a Hibs or a Motherwell or that. I think he'd be a really good manager because he has, you know, what he's had to deal with in terms of budgets. He's done a great job. He gets the best out of those players. I mean, he's getting the best out of guys like Joe Nubley. He's getting the best out of guys like Penrice and guys like Bruce Anderson. He's a very, very good manager. And I think we've said numerous times on the show that I think he is better than Livingston. But right now, there's not really a job open for him. But if a bigger job came up for him, then there's no doubt he should be involved in it because he's a very, very good manager.
I liked how Graham mentioned the green side of Edinburgh, but he didn't mention his own team there. Quite funny there, Graham.
I'm glad you noticed that.
But that's a good point that you've made, Stephen, because as I said, we've been making this point for ages on the show, and I think it's I don't know. Do you think if he was doing the same job at Motherwell with more money, then other teams would start to pay a bit of interest? But it's just because he's at a kind of bottom side 6 teams.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. I think it's down to the fact that he's at Livingston, unfortunately, but he seems pretty happy there. And well, he's happy there. Then if he keeps doing the job that he's doing, then Livy fans will be ecstatic with that.
Yep. So we're going to now, hopefully, for the 4th time tonight, but we're going to. This is some show. We're going to hear from the man himself, David Martindale, talking about the game tomorrow against Kilmarnock at Rugby Park.
Celtic have got 2 points off the Rangers. I think I'm correct in saying in the league it's maybe only Ross County Kilmarnock is beaten, and we all know how contentious that game was. So I think Derek and his players were really, really unlucky in that game. Probably should be keeping away from that game nothing. So that shows you the task in hand how hard it's going to be travelling down to Kilmarnock and trying to pick 3 points up. I think I'm saying it in the past, I've been very vocal. I think Derek won the best coaches in Scotland. So there's a reflection on the part of the pros here, so it's going to be a difficult game football. I think in a good place. So try to think of the ones that will be coming back. Danny Lloyd missed out. Chris McDaniel missed out, Mick Dillon, all 3 of them have had a very, very good training week, and they trained last week as well. So all 3 of them will come into contention. Mo Sangari and Luigi are back, well, they'll be back tomorrow from international duty, but both have no injuries to report. They've not told us they're injured, but so that was the 2 that you're probably looking, it's out with my control if they're going to be available, but both of them look to be available.
So that was David Martindale. Sorry you couldn't see him, but you could actually hear him. And believe you me, he was speaking yesterday ahead of the game. But Stephen mentioned earlier on about Livingston, and basically Livingston is the only team kind of like undefeated outside of the, the only team to beat Livingston this season is Old Firm, and they've picked up points or wins against all the other teams in the league, Stephen. So they're just kind of left off where they were last season.
Yeah, no, they definitely have just kind of picked up where they left off in terms of form. But no, I just think that teams like Livingston will always have a kind of a lull within a season where they will dip. Maybe that'll be due to injury, lack of squad depth, and but they were hoping to keep this up as long as they can. I mean, they go to a tough ground in Rugby Park tomorrow. and they were hoping to just take something for the game. But you heard David Martindale talk there about getting Musa and Gary back. That's massive for them. He's fit and he's a good player for them. So, no, I think that they'll give Kilmarnock a game, but I just can't see any other result other than a draw, to be honest with you.
Yeah, what about you, Graham?
Yeah, I've already said I think Kilmarnock will win. I think it'll be very tight. There'll be like one goal in it. I just don't see Livingston scoring enough goals. But Kilmarnock at home are a decent side, as I mentioned. They beat some big sides at home, so they'll fancy it. And this is a game like Livingston. This is a game Kilmarnock will think they should be winning at home. And I think they probably will win it by the odd goal. It'll be like 2-1 or something.
Okay, so I know I've said this about 3 or 4 times tonight, but believe you me, we've got him and we're determined to hear from Derek McInnes ahead of tomorrow's game against Livingston at the Plastic Derby, as Stephen called it. And yeah. Okay, so here's Derek McInnes.
Feels like a game that we just want to go and try and win a game, and for all the positives we've had in certain performances of late, there's been some decent performances, but getting back to what it was important for us. Managed against Livingston and David's team for a while now, over a period of time, over a few years, and never had it easy. I think the good thing is they'll not have any complaints about the pitch. I think that it's two teams who will be looking to win a game. There's not a lot between a lot of the teams. I think the league table shows that. And it's just important we can try and overcome a tough opponent. They've got good goal threats. Newble's a player who always done well. Bruce is a player who really well and he's capable of punishing you. But behind it all, there's a real strong work ethic, and I think that's what you get. You're always in a game against Livingston. And it's important that they recognise that they're in a game against us as well. So, home game, back to winning ways, hopefully with a strong performance. Everybody's available except Kevin McGuinness. So we've had a few of the younger lads away international. Young Davey Washington's back for 19s. We've got Matty and Brad back from national duty. Free of any kind of complaints.
Okay, so that was Derek McInnes. He's a bit of a shy guy, actually. It took him about 4 attempts to speak there, but we got him, ahead of the game tomorrow against Livingston, and that's going to be an interesting game. Okay, moving on. The next game in the next game in the Premiership tomorrow is the game at Ibrox. It is Rangers against Hibs. And the headlines has been made off the park this week, Graham, because of the new manager. We say in Scotland, Philip, but let's say Philip Clement. I don't know if that's a French accent or a Spanish accent or Jamaican or whatever, but so he's in the dugout for the game tomorrow. Graham, I don't know if you've managed to hear any of his media this week. He done one today, but he also done one on Wednesday afternoon to get unveiled of the Rangers manager. What do you think of that appointment?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one. Seems a decent CV. I've not heard a lot of what he said this week because I've been on holiday. I'd like to say sun on myself, but not in this weather. But yeah, I think he's a decent manager, good appointment. They had to get this one right, given that Michael Beale was an absolute disaster, although he did have, statistically, one of the better records. But yeah, it's a decent appointment. I think it was between him and Kevin Muscat. Maybe he's the right one, we'll soon find out. But, I think Rangers fans seem to be quite on board with him. His first game against an unbeaten Nick Montgomery so far, although they should have got beat before the national break against Hearts, but there we go. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Interesting one. I think they probably will win tomorrow because they're at home. Will they get new manager bounce? I think they probably will. But it's an interesting appointment. I think he'll do well, but it's going to be a hard one because it's going to have to work so far with the players that he's got. These are Michael Beale's signings, so it's going to be a hard one for him.
I suppose, like as Graham was saying there, Reagan, that nobody's heard of him, but obviously nobody heard of Postecoglou, and look what he did to Celtic in 2 seasons. So could this work for Rangers as well? Do you think?
I think he's got a very good record in Belgium. He's done well in the top league in France as well. So I think we need to not judge a book too early. I mean, in terms of him, I mean, he's got a very good record, so we just need to judge it on that. And obviously, he's won titles with Jack Henry, who did well with the Scotland club as well. So I think this guy's clearly got a lot of ta- talented skills, and I'm sure Rangers fans will be hoping that he can do that on the squad, because what I've seen so far this season with the squad is not very good, because I don't know if they've got 3 or 4 good players in that squad, because if you look at the squad they brought in, I think James Briscoe was talking about it during the week, saying that they signed a lot of players, but I don't know if you guys agree, but I'm watching it this season and I'm saying to myself, the squad don't look as if they've got much of a direction or a place to go. I mean, even Desser's Sima, Scott Wright, who was supposedly on a flight to the Turkish Premier League, was straight back to playing for Rangers in the Champions League qualifier. I mean, everything this season, Balogun, who they signed in a free transfer, who they let go this season prior to let him go to QPR. You know, I think for me, the thing that Rangers need to get right is the transfer strategy, and also for I think the manager will be hoping that the players in the park will do a real good turn, because as much as we say like he should get time in the squad, if he doesn't get off to a good start, Stephen and Mike, I mean, you guys know, see if he gets a draw tomorrow at Ibrox, the place will be booing, they'll be 9 points behind. I mean, of course, they won't be blaming the brand new manager, but they'll still not be very happy.
I just think it's going to be interesting to see how Clermont lines up tactically tomorrow. That's what I'm really looking forward to seeing, because I'm interested, not really looking forward, that makes it sound like I care about Rangers. I'm interested to see how he lines up, because for what we've seen, Dessers, I don't think can play up front on his own. I think we've seen enough to establish that. The signings that have come in haven't really set the world alight. The only one that I would maybe give pass marks to is Jack Butland. I think he's been about the only decent one. And Clement's already alluded to it, that he is not Harry Potter with a magic stick, as he said. So he can't just wave a wand and magically turn this around. But it'll be interesting to see what he tries to do tactically. I mean, he did a great job at Club Brugge, but Monaco, he finished 6th with them. I don't think that's quite good enough for what they'd expect to be. So, listen, it's an interesting one, but I think it's going to take time. He's going to need to get his ideas across, and then when January comes, he's going to need to get a couple of his own players in to weed out the duds that Beale has signed. So, it'll be interesting. It definitely will be interesting. I think Hibs can maybe get something for this tomorrow, just because it's not going to be easy to turn that around that quick.
And I think as well, Graham, that he's got a big job in his hands about Cantwell, because I don't know if you know, saw this week that there's been a social media spat between him and Sutton on social media. And he was asked that question today, and he basically he shrugged his shoulders and digging. He said, "I'm too busy to look at my social media and scared of other players as well." But do you think that? If Cantwell should really concentrate on what's going on the park and scared get off the park?
I think it's very petty between them both, to be honest. I mean, has Chris Sutton got nothing better to do? He's just on the wind-up, obviously. But yeah, I have noticed it, because I do on Twitter. I have noticed it, and it's just getting petty. But Cantwell needs to get back to full fitness, because I think actually he's one of the Rangers players that I think is a decent player. He does have quality, but he's just not fit. So I think he's got to get back on the pitch and doing what he's, showing what he can do, rather than getting caught up in Twitter beasts with Chris Sutton, who's just looking for attention. But he's getting it. He's getting that attention. But I think, Rangers. I think Stevens talked there about Philip Clement getting time. I just wonder how much time he'll get from Rangers fans, though, because they're in a semi-final, which they're going to have to win. They've got to win this cup, the League Cup. They've got to win that. They then have to make sure that they're not falling further behind Celtic. When you got a club at Rangers and Celtic, you can't be second. So he's got a big, big job on his hands. Obviously, he's going to have to work with the players he's got just now until January, maybe assess what he's got and then try and move a few players on and get a few players in. But it is the question of, will Rangers fans give him time? They're going to have to. But if they fall further behind Celtic and they go out the cup, it's going to be very difficult.
A question I've got for you guys, sorry, Michael. Do you think that the talks with the Rangers board would have been, you still need to win this title, or do you think they're just saying, well, you're 7 points behind, it's going to be very, very difficult? I mean, from a Rangers fans' point of view, obviously you're going to still think it's achievable. And obviously, like, I remember Michael Beale talking when he first came in, he says, I've inherited 7 points, so technically I'm only 3 points behind, but he went 10 points behind. What I'm trying to say is, see if the league come on, say he goes 13 points behind, but then essentially that's only 6 points behind. Do you think Rangers fans will still be not as toxic with the new manager, or do you think there'll still be a bit of pressure there for him?
I think that what they're going to look for is an upturn in performance, a sign that he can get something out of the current batch. I think that's what he needs to do. I think he'll be okay because he hasn't built this squad himself. So if they start to play just a wee 5-10% better, then that'll pick the Rangers fans up. But I think Graham is spot on when he says that they need to win the League Cup. If they go to the League Cup, now this is no disrespect to Hearts or Hibs or Aberdeen who are left in it, it's an absolute disaster for Rangers if they go to the League Cup. It's a trophy that the new club haven't won yet. So they'll be looking to put that on the mantelpiece. And they need to win some silverware, because since 2012, I think they've only won 2 major honours. So they need to rectify that. If Hibernian win tomorrow, then I think it's going to all go on the players, as we know. If Hibernian win tomorrow, Clement will get a bit of time, I think.
Let's hear from Philip Clement, who was speaking to the assembled media today at Auchenharry about the game tomorrow against the Highbees. Might be having some technical problems as we'll just blame it on the bad weather, right? Because we can get away with that. So hopefully we'll hear from Philip in a wee minute or two. I don't know how you can say that in Belgium, actually. I can't speak Belgium. All I can say in Belgium is give me chocolate. Anyway, what about Hibs, Graham? I know that you were disappointed the last time out that they came back to get a point against Hearts and the Edinburgh Derby. What do you make of Nick Montgomery and Hibs? Because it's basically got off to a kind of okay start.
Yeah, but it's going at this game unbeaten. As I said, they should have got beat by Hearts. Hearts took the foot off the gas at 2-0 up. And we made 2 mistakes and let Hibs back into it. I didn't actually think Hibs were that great against Hearts for long spells in that game, but they've got a point. So there is something about Montgomery's team. They don't give up. They keep going till the end. 2-0 down. They could have easily tucked it, but they didn't. I think Hearts for me gave that away though. We made a really poor change, taking Led off and bringing Benny on and going basically defensive and basically saying to Hibs, you can get back in this game. But Hibs have got something about them. They do have Ellie Ewan and Martin Boyle, two guys out wide that have got searing pace. So it's going to be interesting. I think Martin Boyle could cause a lot of problems for Rangers tomorrow. And if they get the forward playing, if they get the forwards playing, they could cause Rangers problems tomorrow. Because I'm still not overly convinced that Rangers defence is particularly great.
It's a week of making analyze about everything. Staff players to get to know everybody, the way of working, the way I want to implement things. And I've been in a building where everybody was really motivated to do the right things. Of course, it's everywhere the same. It's never perfect from the beginning. That's also impossible. But I see the good intentions in staff, with the players. And also now the last 2 days, internationals are back. So that's also a difference. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow to see the first game and to see the little seeds that we planted this week, to see how fast they will grow. I see a lot of good things here, but I see a lot of things that we all together can make better. And we need to focus on that now. To do the things that were not so good before to make them better. I saw good things in the training in that way. I know a game is different. There's another atmosphere, another tension than in training sessions. So I don't expect the perfect game tomorrow. I expect there will be things that go wrong, but it's important how you react at the moment. And that they're open to learn, to become better, that I've seen the last couple of days. And it's now continuing this story the next weeks and the next months to make it better and better.
There we go. That was Philip Paramount speaking to the media today. Dave has just appeared on screen. Dave, how are you?
Very well, thanks, Michael. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm not bad. Not bad. We were talking about the Aberdeen game earlier on, and because obviously that's off, I'm going to come back to that game in a wee minute or two as well. But what do you make? What do you make of the new Rangers manager, Dave?
Yeah, a very fascinating appointment, dude from all associated with Rangers. I mean, I think he's got that toughness that you require in a Rangers manager. I mean, regarding the interview process, I mean, he had to go past James Bisgrove, he had to go past the main guy, the guy John Bennett, but he also had to go by Graham Souness. And I mean, Graham Souness is known for having this dinosaur mentality within football. I disagree with that notion because as much as Graham Souness does have some wild takes on the modern game nowadays, at the same time, I think the way he operates, the way in which he's got a football brain about him, is critical to the way that old school vibe is trying to get back in, but it's slowly not going to compound that way just because of the way. Just because of the way football is nowadays, unfortunately. So I think passing the assignment that is Graham Souness was going to be a massive thing for Philippe Clement. He seems to have this old school mentality about him, and that is a massive thing as far as Rangers is concerned. I think they needed that old school character again. I think they needed that hard guy again. That was that manager. Michael Beale, good coach, not a manager, or not a manager just yet. He had a good spell at Queen's Park Rangers. However, I think when you take everything that Loftus showed into mind, you look at everything and say the Rangers job was too big for him. Now, people could argue with that and say Rangers are a poison chalice, blah, blah, blah. I disagree with that. I think you need the right people involved, and if you've got the right calibre manager involved who can handle the manager of the football club, I think it's a decent proposition for Rangers. And I'm not trying to big up the club here because I'm not a fan, However, I'm just making the point that I think they needed somebody that is going to be aggressive, demands winning, demands success, because Rangers simply haven't had that for a long time. I'd argue the last time they had that, Walter Smith perhaps, and I wouldn't even put Gerrard in that bracket. I know Gerrard liked the big hype talk when it came to big games and trying to win things, but he won one league title. Well, let's be honest, Celtic capitulated that season. Celtic quite simply folded, and COVID got the better of them, and then Neil Lennon in the end eventually. So I don't think Rangers have had as hard a manager or as tough going a manager as Walter Smith. God bless him, by the way. And I think, don't get me wrong, this is going to be absolute gifts if this goes horribly wrong for Rangers. But if he can go and make it that difference at Ibrox, get a few big results in, as Graham's alluded to, go win the League Cup, then he'll slowly but surely get on side with Rangers fans. But the Rangers fans are unanimous in disappointment. There wasn't that vibe about Michael Beale. There wasn't really that vibe about Van Bronckhorst as such. There seems to be a unanimous vibe about Philippe Clement. So from a Rangers perspective, they're obviously very, very happy with how things have proceeded since the departure of Michael Beale.
The Stephen Dave makes a very interesting point, and we've made this point on the show when Michael Beale was in charge of Rangers, that there's a bit of a gap there between being a coach, sort of being an assistant manager to a manager, and that's really what happened between. That's how Michael Beale never got off to a very good start. In fact, he only won 2 big games when he was at Rangers. He beat Celtic in a meaningless game at the end of the season, but also I think he won a European game, didn't he? Before he get sacked. So, do you think that do you feel as though that there's a massive gap there between being a coach, an assistant manager, and being the main man?
I think you can tell the difference in the way that both men handle themselves. I think what Clement has done in that press conference is he's come out and he's kind of said, okay, there's going to be mistakes, it's going to take time. What he's trying to do there is great man management, because he's trying to take the pressure off the players tomorrow. Because this is a squad that has been under enormous amount of pressure due to the start of the season that they've had. So he's kind of trying to take the pressure off of them a wee bit. Whereas Michael Beale's kind of coming out and making statements in press conferences about things that he's going to do. Needs to get Rangers back to winning. This club needs to be winning trophies. And it couldn't back it up on the pitch. Whereas Clement is kind of a more reserved. He seems like he's trying to take the pressure off his players, and that's the difference between a good manager and a good coach.
And do you feel though, Dave, that then they could get this appointment right? Because if not, the Rangers fans will be on the board's back.
I think it's an interesting question, Michael, because I think it's one of those, Michael, that Rangers have quite simply, they've went from a guy that quite simply is better suited to either being that assistant or is better suited to work at a far lower level of the game. Whilst they're working for a guy now that didn't quite materialise at Monaco. However, at the same time, and I'm agreeing with what pundits are saying on the matter this week, that I don't think it was a failure finishing 6th for Monaco. Yeah, Monaco should be expected to be Champions League, a Champions League side, but I don't think it's a failure by any stretch of imagination. If this goes wrong, I think every member of that Rangers board is scratching their head going, where do we find the balance here? Do we go for a hard man that's going to work in modern day football and go, this will work? Do we go for the man that, has that bit of academy background to him, such as what Michael Beale did? Gerrard was a bit of in the middle, if you know what I mean. Gerrard had that hard vibe about him, but at the same time as well, Gerrard had this overhype about him, if you know what I mean. I'll allude to it. Slightly over arrogant. Well, obviously, the drew with Aberdeen. Aberdeen played on the Thursday night, they played on the Sunday. Bruce Anderson squandered home that goal, and Gerrard was very arrogant. All from derby victories. Gerrard's all over the place celebrating as if they just won the Scottish Premiership. When quite simply, it was festive period in 2019 with still 4-5 months of the season to go yet. As Stevens referred to there, Michael, there seems to be a calmness about Clement, a calmness to win, and an ability to win, and a desire to win. But also, he's doing it in a measured manner that people aren't looking at this by this time at Christmas time and going, right, Philippe, you've won 6 games out of 13. Results aren't going well. The 6 games, 3 of them you won 1-0. They're going to want a balance, and that's the important thing for Rangers. But as I said to you, if you pass the Graham Souness assessment, you're very much well on your way. Because Graham Souness knows Scottish football, he knows Rangers, he knows the game inside out. As I said, he's got this dinosaur feel about him just because of the opinions that he'll go and say sometimes. But exactly the same time, you need guys like Graham Souness behind the scenes. That's what Celtic have had that I think's been that difference. Celtic have had a few older players, or a few ex-players, should I say, on the board or assisted the board at Celtic with regards to these decisions. And I think that's helped bring the level of calibre that they have. And, for example, Brendan Rodgers, although Brendan Rodgers was a different story. But Celtic always seem to find that balance. Rangers have quite simply been a club that's been in a bit of disarray because of administration stuff, because of the wrong people on the board, and because of a lack of stability on and off the park. Now, that might change with Philippe, and time will tell if that is the case.
Graham, if you were a Rangers fan, would you be a bit concerned? By the way, good evening to Reg Scotland, Keith Watson on YouTube. Thanks for commenting. Keep your comments coming in. Would you not be a bit concerned if you're a Rangers fan going to a former Rangers manager? I was in the 90s, basically, being the manager. And I know Graham Souness was a big name in Rangers. But, I mean, surely the board would have an idea of who they're going after, because obviously that's the board. Maybe I've got this totally wrong, guys, and you can let me know. But surely that's the board's job to fish out the best manager for the football club. So why go after? Why go chapping Souness' score to say, "Can you help me here?"
Well, I did hear a few Rangers fans ages ago talk about the fact they wanted somebody with a Rangers connection on that board to help out. I don't really particularly agree with that. I think you're right. I think they knew who they wanted. I mean, that big list that came out, the whole thing about the bookies and who they were going for and stuff, there was a lot of names on that list that I wasn't, if I was a Rangers fan, I wasn't overly convinced by them. Frank Lampard, no chance. Chris Wilder, nah. You look at the rest of that list and think, right, who's going to get it? Clement probably was one of the better names, but he is going to have a hard task. And actually, Red Scott made a good point there, actually, when he says that Rangers need someone to invest 100 million to get close to Celtic. I don't even think that's enough. I think Celtic at the moment are probably still far too strong. I hope they're not on Sunday, but I think they're still far too strong, and Rangers have got a long way to go to really catch up with them just now. They can still win the League Cup. I hope they don't. But it's a very hard job right now, because the players that he's going to have to work with are not over quality. Stevens mentions half the players already. Dessers looks miles away from being good enough. I think Sima has moments where he's looked all right. He looked their best player in that European game a couple of weeks ago, but they don't have enough quality in there. So I think Clement's got a very hard job. His first 2 games are at home. He's got Hibs tomorrow, and then he's got Hearts next Sunday. 2 potentially tough games if Hearts turn up. They could be 2 hard games for them. And if they don't win either one of them, then straight away he's under massive pressure. He's got to win these. he's got to get the fans on side very quickly. If they lose tomorrow, then he's under pressure straight away.
I'm going to make a bold statement here, right, guys? I think if Rangers don't win a league in the next 3 years, they will find themselves decades behind Celtic. Decades. Because Celtic are going to be getting all this money coming in for Champions League and all sorts. I just think that the gap's getting wider, and the longer Rangers go without winning something, it's only going to grow and grow, and because the pressure's only going to increase as well.
From a Hibs point of view, Stephen, going into the game, Mick Montgomery was talking to Hibs TV yesterday, and they were saying we had a good week of training. We go there full of confidence, but you know yourself, and we were talking about this about Murrow on the show earlier on, Stephen, you can have 50 shots at goal in the whole game, still not win it. But you can also have a brilliant week of training. You can bounce about the football park. You can score goals and all that. But that doesn't count. Like, we know on the show that as soon as you cross that white line, all that matters is winning the game.
No, it is. But what I think that Hibs need tomorrow that they've yet to really show this season is a solid performance defensively. They've had loads of 2-2 draws. So they're going to it's all right saying that Rangers have had a poor season, but you're still going to Ibrox tomorrow. You're still going to be under pressure. You're still going to need to defend well. And that's something that I've yet to see from a Hibs side this season. So if they continue with their defensive performance that they've been showing the last couple of weeks, they'll come away from Ibrox with a big fat 0 tomorrow. There you go. No points, because they need to be solid at the back.
Before we move on to the Sunday game, let's speak about the last game tomorrow then. It is Ross County against Mirren, Dave. And I'm surprised this game's still on, actually. But they must not be getting it quite bad up at that neck of the woods. But this is going to be a very entertaining game because Ross County, no matter if they go away from home or at home, they're a difficult side against St Mirren, is playing some good football at the moment.
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to just clarify that that's why Michael McEwen stays in Glasgow or the Central Belt, because the A9 is nowhere near affected as the Dundee and Aberdeen areas at this precise moment in time, because it's the A19 that's completely shut off just now, and it's the Dundee, Brecon, Forfar and Montrose area that's got the worst of the flood, and the A9's got no issues whatsoever, and I'm led to believe the A9 is open. I think if the A9 was shut overnight, I think they'd be a doubt for the game tomorrow. But yeah, the A9's open, and to my understanding, there's no danger of it whatsoever shutting unless we get another heavy night of rain. Considering what's Johnston, I know you've obviously probably touched on Johnston already, but excuse me. So considering Johnston come out and say what they said today this afternoon, I'm surprised that game's actually off tomorrow. I'm surprised they didn't say anything to the league in all honesty. Maybe they did, but obviously they're not going to come out externally and say that. But like this game tomorrow, I think it's going to be a good game, if it's on, of course. I think Ross County will look they're a better home side than they are away, and that's been shown. But I think they need a big win again, because if you look at their pattern, they started the season tremendously well, and then hit a bit of a shell, they hit a bit of a rock. They could beat Aberdeen 4-0. Nobody really expected that the magnitude of that scoreline, and it kind of dwindled Ross County a little bit. So I think Marky Mackay needs a massive win again. There's no better incentive to do it than tomorrow. But that's just another. I think they needed a big win themselves to kind of rejuvenate what's now a very good start to the season for Stephen Robinson's side, because as we all know, the start of the season tremendously well, and then as I'm saying, they hit a bit of a brick wall as well. And yeah, I mean, I think whoever wins this tomorrow will get that bit of confidence. But yeah, massive game tomorrow, this one, and I don't know what I'm going to go for a draw on this one actually.
And as for St Mirren, Stephen, I've seen him a few times this season, not live, but on the highlights packages. They look not bad, and it's the same as Motherwell, basically, because they've kind of left off where they were last season.
No, they've started the season incredibly well, with the exception of that result against Rangers before the international break. I actually think if you break that game down, that game was so even before the sending off. Listen, I don't think anybody can have any complaints about the sending off at the back post. I believe it was for Tanzer. It's a deliberate handball, Stonewall red card, but that was their first defeat of the season at home of Rangers. So they were looking to get back to winning ways. It's a game though that both sides will fancy the chances of getting a result from. I don't know, with the weather, the conditions, the travel up north. I'm sorry, as we know, but I think it's a County win tomorrow. I really do. I think County are going to nick it. I just think you get games like this in this season where certain teams need that result and they get them, and I think County will win it 2-0. There you go.
And let's go to let's go to the game on Sunday then. It's a Graham against, well, I was going to say Reagan, but he must be scared actually, because he's away already. The big game on Sunday, it's not 12 o'clock kickoff, it's 2:15 at Tynecastle, between Hearts and Celtic. Before we talk about Celtic, let's talk about Hearts, Graham.
Yeah, I'm never confident playing one of the Old Firm, but what I want from Hearts is a performance like last season when Naismith got the job initially. You know, until Cochran got sent off in that first half, I thought Hearts were very good. Lost the game 2-0 eventually, but I thought we were good. That's what I want to see again. Now we do, injury problems are starting to slightly ease. Obviously, Craig Gordon's back in training, Craig Halkett's back in training, which is great. Cochran's back, Oda's back as well. They could both be in the squad tomorrow, which is good news. But these next 5 games, I think, are massive for Naismith. I've had a lot of conversation with fellow Hearts fans as well. We've got Celtic tomorrow, then Rangers, then Livingston, then Rangers in the Cup, and then Motherwell. 5 very difficult games. And I think Naismith has to get something out. I think he's got to get a decent run of points in these games, but performances as well. If we lose on Sunday but play well, I'll be reasonably happy with that. But if we do what we normally do against the Old Firm and just go there and get our pants pulled down and don't actually try, I'll be raging. I mean, he's under a lot of pressure. I'm on a number of different group chats, and a lot of Hearts fans are still not overly convinced by Stephen Naismith. And I've said it before, I get it. You know, I think what he did against Hibs the week before the national break, the decision he made in that game were poor. You know, taking off Lowry and bringing on Benny Maringame was just a really bad decision. Lowry was brilliant that game. If he was running out of steam, which is fine, you either bring on George Grant or you bring on Liam Boyce and keep the formation, but he didn't. I also think another thing that changed the game in that was Stephen Kingsley going off. He then has to make a change. He changes the formation, which didn't work. We were dominating that derby. Hibs were not in the game until those changes were made and until those really poor mistakes from Toby Sibbick. But Sunday's a massive game. We're at home. We know that Celtic only got 565 tickets. So there's going to be a big Hearts crowd there. And it's a great chance for us to get 3 points on the board, but it's going to be very, very tough. I think the midfield battle is going to be crucial. We're up against, I think what he'll probably do is, I'd actually quite like to see him go like for like and go, because Celtic normally play 4-3-3. I'd like Naismith to do the same. Another extra midfielder in there. Because up against guys like O'Reilly, Hatate, and McGregor, it's going to be very, very tough. I'd like to see maybe flood the midfield a little bit. But what we can't do is concede early. We've got to give ourselves a chance. If we lose an early goal, I think we're going up against it. I do have concerns we're going to get beat here by comfortably, but I hope not. Very, very tough game though.
Of course, this is the anniversary game because last year, if you remember, I think it was VAR came into that game, and we haven't stopped talking about VAR since that game last season. Anyway, Stephen Naismith was talking to the media yesterday, and he says it's a big game. We played against Graham last season, was entertaining and eventful. Celtic argued team who have had some changes in the summer with some of the new the recruits. I think it has taken a wee bit of time to build that relationship, but in the last few weeks, you can see they are starting to click into deep gear. He then went on to say they will carry a flake. They always do. Stephen, what do you think of this game?
I think that it'll be a very interesting one. And can I want to touch on the allocation debate. Hearts are well within the right to only give Celtic 500 tickets for this game because they can sell out. I get the argument that clubs can't sell out, but Celtic and Rangers have been having their own allocation debate between each other. Yet when another club decides to do it, everybody has an issue with it. Now, I get it in the bin. Hearts are well within their right. And I even said it when my own team, Motherwell, went there. They thought, listen, if Hearts can sell the tickets, by all means, Hearts fans have more right to claim those tickets than away fans. I do think, though, having said that there should be a percentage, but that's on the SPFL to decide that a certain percent. But until that, clubs are well within the right to make their own mind up about what they want to do. In terms of the game, as Graham says, I think Hearts will just be looking for the performance more than the result. They're going up against what I think is the best midfield and best side in the country. A side that are hitting some real form. I know that they've kind of a squeezed by Kilmarnock there, but they've not really looked back since beating Rangers early on in the season. So it's going to be a really tough game for Hearts to get anything out of. And it's not as if Celtic are coming off a European game. So I'm sorry, Graham, but I expect Celtic to win about 3 or 4-1 on Sunday, mate. I apologise.
Dave, as for Celtic, they go into the game on a good run of form, you would say. But we have done the Champions League shows, and Celtic has just kind of fell short. What you would say is making basic mistakes in the game, and you saw that clearly against Feyenoord and Lazio as well. But yeah, I mean, in terms of Brendan Rodgers won the Manager of the Month, Matt O'Reilly won the Player of the Month. Do you think that Brendan Rodgers has come in and not kind of like upset the apple cart in a way, because you say about managers coming back and you say about, oh yeah, they need time, but it's took it to the pardon the pun, but a duck to water.
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes managers come in the second time and it can be quite simply an absolute collapse, just in terms of any possible exit that they had from the first time around. But I think Celtic fans, although there was that friction and animosity from the first time around and how everything had unfolded, I think in the back of Celtic fans' minds, I do think they were of the mindset of, right, okay, we can't get everybody else in the door. We've got to settle for Brendan Rodgers. Let's support him and see how far we can go. And let's be honest, it could have been a whole lot worse for Celtic disappointment. It could have been Tony Mowbray. Let's put it in greater context here. So, I think for Celtic, I think as much as this wasn't a unanimous appointment amongst the Celtic supporters, at the same time, I think they'd have settled with somebody of that magnitude and of that calibre rather than somebody of, let's say, an English Championship manager, an English League One manager. Because although Brendan Rodgers ultimately got Leicester relegated last year, he's worked at that level. And
but I wasn't 100% confident. I know what you're trying to get to here. I wasn't 100% confident Rodgers would actually do well at Celtic. Let's be honest. I think the proof's still. I don't know if you agree. I don't know if you agree, Michael, being a Celtic fan. I think the proof's still in the pudding. Yes, he's had a good start to his second tenure at Celtic. But ultimately, I think it's for a variety of reasons here. You've got a Michael Beale Rangers that quite simply, first and foremost, won important games. Secondly, quite simply, couldn't get a fine tune out of a Rangers squad that quite simply, I'm not going to say the phrase not good enough, but quite simply are not performing. And that's where the whole mentality needs to change at Ibrox. We're speaking about Celtic here. And I think with Clement coming in, I'm intrigued to see how this all goes now. The important games, such as your old fans, are going to be massive. Massive in terms of how Rodgers sticks up to his fine record as a manager at Celtic. Because if he can do that, fine. If he starts losing a couple of important games in that regard, maybe a different story. So far, so good, but plenty more to come. And plenty more challenges to come, should I say.
I think you're right, Dave, because obviously I was talking to a lot of Celtic fans before the last Glasgow derby at Ibrox, and Celtic fans were feeling the worst. Whereas, years ago, a couple of years ago when Andrew was there, Celtic were going in confident to the game. Now that was Rangers' biggest chance, I would say, maybe to beat Celtic in the game and beat them well and put in a decent performance, because I know that we spoke about on the show, Graham, that it's all like winning games, but Rangers hasn't been putting on a 90-minute performance, and they failed to do that kind of like on that day as well. So yeah, as I say, the new manager comes in, Clement to Rangers. Let's see how it goes. But like what you were saying was, and I've made this point in numerous times on the show as well, and I don't know if you would agree, Stephen, but when we talk about the Old Firm, and it's got to come down to the 4 Old Firm games, to me, that's showing a disrespect to Motherwell and Aberdeen and Hearts and Hibs in the league, because maybe it does come down to the 4 games, but you've got to beat the likes of Motherwell, St Johnstone, Hearts, Hibs before you even think of the Old Firm games.
Well, you always look at it over the course of any season that there's always a team out the two. More likely, it's been Rangers in previous seasons that will always lose games to sides out with the Old Firm, and that will be their undoing. Obviously, the 4 Old Firm games are the biggest of the lot, but there is tricky ties going to Tynecastle, going to Easter Road, Rugby Park, Pittodrie, Fir Park, places like that. So, no, I wouldn't say there's an element of disrespect. I think that you can hear particularly when Brendan Rodgers speaks, he talks about how tough it can be to go away in his side. And I'm telling you right now that Brendan Rodgers knew he was in a game at Fir Park. He absolutely knew he was in a game at Fir Park. And I'm still raging that we never took him from it. But no. Look at Aberdeen going to Ibrox getting results. So there will be scores like that over the course of a season. And it's another one of those games on Sunday for Celtic.
Graham, have you noticed any difference since Ange Postecoglou left and when Brendan Rodgers came in? Have you noticed any difference in the style of play or how they approach the games, or is it just business as usual under a different man at the helm?
I think I've noticed a difference in Brendan Rodgers from the first time. The first time they played this really fluid, fast attacking football. They've not really shown a lot of that so far this season. Hopefully that continues on Sunday. But they've not really been quite as good, as they have been. I think Kyogo's not been quite as impressive as he has been, but he always seems to score against Hearts, so that probably changed on Sunday. But I think there has been definite signs that there has been something different. But again, you look at Celtic as a whole. This is where I think a big difference between Celtic and Rangers as well. because if Rangers had gone to Fir Park in that last game and Motherwell got back to 1-1, that would have been a draw. There's no way that Rangers going to win that game like Celtic did. And that's always been a thing about Celtic over the years that I've followed football. There's always been a thing about Celtic is they go to the last minute. You know, that game could have easily been a draw, but Celtic go, now we're going to win this game. That's such a massive, massive difference. And that's the stage that Rangers have got to get to. And every other team's got to get to how hard that is. But, you know, I think Rodgers has... Celtic are still a very good side, but for me, they're not quite as good as what we've seen recently, and I hope that's the same on Sunday. But actually, just going on to Sunday as well, I know I've got Mark on the left, but I want to get you guys' thoughts. I mean, I've said before, a lot of Hearts fans are still not overly convinced by Naismith. I've just talked about these next 5 games. Do you guys think that Hearts fans like myself are still being very harsh on Naismith, or can you see where the fans are coming from, that we still think this is a bit of a safe appointment?
I can see exactly where you're coming from, to be honest, because you look at the results. I mean, dropping those points against Hibs, but okay, you went up to County and got a result, but I still think you've yet to see like a real what I would call a Hearts performance. Where they're at home, they blow a side away, they get the job done comfortably. Your chance was that game against Hibs. Yeah, the 2-0 lead, and as you say, you kind of turn a bit defensive and allow Hibs to come back into the game, and then we all know what happened there. They go and score 2 quick goals and end up coming away with a point. So I can completely see where the unrest lies in terms of the attitude towards Stevie Naismith. And look at the fixtures: Rangers away, Liverpool. The 2 games that I'm looking at here, right? Although it just says ahead of me that the Dundee game's been postponed. But that Livingston game and then the League Cup semi-final are the 2 huge games for me, because against the Old Firm in the league, you're kind of like, okay. But I think when you go to Hampden in a cup semi-final, particularly against a Rangers side that haven't been setting the world alight, that have just got a new manager that's going to take time to bed in, that's why the Dundee game's postponed, because it's the League Cup weekend, okay? Figured that out, then he's going to be looking at wanting to cause what you would call an upset and get yourself a chance of getting into the final, because I think that's something that we spoke about in previous weeks, Graham, that teams like Hearts, Hibs, Aberdeen, they don't get in enough of these finals, and it's time for that to start changing. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Hearts were kind of the quite simply, I hate to say the phrase, cheap option. However, what I would say on the Hearts matter is they quite simply couldn't get anybody in that was viable. Also, Hearts were unanimous in getting in. They quite simply looked at Stephen Naismith, quite simply used his caretaker role as the addition to getting the job, and quite simply Hearts. I mean, there's plenty of decent guys out there. I don't know if you agree, Graham. See in terms of who Hearts need right now, and people would go and say you're speaking out of your bum here, but Tam Courts, I'd have Tam Courts in the Hearts. Knows how to win games. Yes, doesn't play the most fantastic of football, but neither did Robbie Nielsen. And I mean, he would get him wins for Hearts. He'd play a much more attractive style of football than Naismith as well. And I'm not saying for 1 minute that Naismith's not a bad manager, but what I'm saying is that I don't think he's ready for a job the magnitude of Hearts, because quite simply there's deficiencies based on what he's saying to the press, how he's conducting himself in the dugout, the decisions he's making. There needs somebody with that bit more experience, and there needs somebody similar to a Tam Courts, or indeed somebody like Martindale. Martindale would never get a place at Tynecastle, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think, Dave, you've made a lot of good points there, by the way. and I'll let Graham come in a minute. But like, if I can pick them up one by one, like this is ironic because the manager that he's playing on Sunday, Brendan Rodgers, didn't want most of the Celtic fans didn't want him back, but you still got to back him whether you like him or not, and that's the same as Naismith. Now I'll tell you where Hearts went wrong, right? To leak that to the media about who's the manager. Him or Matt Parlin for the European games, and I know that we were making a bit of a joke on the shows and all that, and on the WhatsApp group. I think that's kind of upset the apple cart in a way, Graham, because like well, first of all, I was embarrassing for. I don't know about you being a Hearts fan, but it was embarrassing for the Scottish football scene. Well, they don't know who's the manager today, never mind tomorrow as well. I think he's just got to back the guy. I know that we were talking earlier about there's a big, massive gap between being an assistant manager to a manager. He's a manager, tough, full stop, got on, but back him. And the Hearts fans should back him, and they've got a big game next week. They've got a big game on Sunday against Celtic, big game next Sunday against Rangers in the semi-final. So you should just back him and then maybe speak about, if he's the right man afterwards. But I mean, come on, get behind the guy and hope and cheer Hearts to victory maybe on Sunday or next week against Rangers. But don't talk about like should you be in or should you be not. It's like the hokey cokey in or out. He's in the job. Just back the guy, whether you like him or not. I mean, if you don't back a guy, I think you're not a real Hearts fan. I'm just saying that. I might be totally wrong in saying that. Graham, I don't know if you would agree with me there.
I completely disagree. I think it's all about opinions. Football's all about opinions, and I think I said it at the time when he got the job. I said that it was a cheap option, but I'll back him because I'll back any manager that comes to my club. But I think there was better options out there. Dave mentioned Tam Courts couldn't have done a decent job, I think. But I just think that some of the things that he does and some of the the way that he's played just now is not overly impressive. Listen, I hope he does well. I really do. But I've still got my doubts. And the thing I think as well, I think I mentioned this on Twitter a couple of days ago as well. You look at Barry Robson at Aberdeen. Barry Robson last season got that win against Rangers, and then he's obviously got another one a few weeks ago. Stephen Naismith hasn't yet had a statement victory, one that really rings out and says, you know what, that's a really good victory. He's not really had that yet. Now he's got a game on Sunday against Celtic, and he's got 2 games against Rangers to come. Those would be statement victories. If he gets wins out of those, that'd be fantastic. But what I really want is to win that cup game. We've not won the League Cup for 61 years, and for a club like Hearts, that's nowhere near good enough. It's not acceptable. We were really poor in the cup final a few seasons ago against Rangers. We need to be better this time. I don't think the Rangers side is particularly great, and I'll be really, really disappointed if Hearts go into that cup game and don't turn up. We've got to put in a performance in that game. Naismith talked about already the fact we need to go win this cup, and he's right, we have to. But if he doesn't, I keep going back to these next 5 games. They're really, really massive games. We have to get wins in these games. But Sunday, for me, if we lose that but have a goal, then I'll accept that. But if we go out there, get beat 3 or 4-0 and don't even try, then that's where I'll be really disappointed.
Stephen, Celtic's got a big game on Wednesday night. They've also got a big game on Sunday. How do you think they will approach the game?
I think they'll go there all guns blazing. They'll be looking to get Hearts out the way in the first 20 minutes. I mean, you look at the international breaks that some of the players have had. I mean, Matt Riley playing with Denmark, Kyogo getting a goal for Japan, so they were looking to come back and continue that form by taking it into the league. But I think that it's going to be up to Hearts to get the crowd involved early on. Tynecastle, it can be raucous, it can be one of the toughest places to go, but you have to give these fans something to get behind, and I'm sorry to have to agree with Graham and disagree with you, Michael. They're absolutely within the right to be questioning Stephen Naismith, because it's not as if he's just in the job. He's had the job for a good while between his caretaker spell and this spell. As Graham says, he's not had a statement victory yet that would make you go, wow, what a result that is. And I keep saying it. One thing that I associate with Hearts side is pace, energy, creativity. Don't see any under Stephen Naismith. I think it's very flat. Could be very, very mundane at times. And I do think that the Hearts fans deserve better than what they're getting.
Can I just ask Dave a question as well, because it's been talked about by Hearts fans quite a bit recently as well. It's a former Lawrence Shankland. He's now not scored since that Pout game to score a penalty, but I've heard it said numerous times. And I've heard a lot of Hearts fans saying, Shankland needs to get dropped. I don't agree with that. The reason that Shankland isn't scoring goals is because he's not getting chances created for him. And now he's got a potential Euros to go to next season. So I wanted to know what Dave thought of Shankland's form just now.
Yeah, it's an interesting point about obviously not getting enough service. My honest opinion, you've obviously got Lyndon Dykes from a Scotland perspective. You've obviously got Dykes, you've got Shea Adams. If you can get Lawrence Shankland in a decent enough side where he is going to get chances like Aberdeen right now, right? Just to give you a general example, Aberdeen with Shinner, Clarkson, and Duke and Miovski. Shankland would flourish in that Aberdeen team just now, in my honest opinion, just with the way Aberdeen play. And don't be surprised, Graham, if Shankland maybe does, or his agent starts putting things out in the media imminently, saying, "Look, we need to get him a move, or we need to get something sorted for him to make sure he does go to Germany." Because let's be honest, he's been out the squad, I'm led to believe, not because of injury. He has been injured, to my understanding, but that's not been the sole or precise reason behind it. I think it has been because, quite simply, he's not been performing at club level. Unlike your Adams, your Dykes, even Jacob Brown, he's had a reasonable enough start to the season with Luton in the Premier League in England. I think for Shankland, I'm not saying Hearts have to play a way that's going to suit Lawrence Shankland because it'll not work every week. What I would say is Hearts should very much acknowledge and understand you've got a very formidable number 9 in your presence, where if you get balls directly into his path or you use your channels very wisely and find Shankland all the time, you're going to get a lot of joy out of it. That's the thing with Hearts. I think they're very, very good in the middle, but they lack that creativity in the final third, and that's exactly what's letting them down just now. And as you say, that's obviously hurt Shankland from a country perspective, a Scotland perspective, because he's not getting the chance to prove himself in front of Steve Clarke, or indeed he's not getting the chance to prove himself in front of scouts and agents alike.
Okay, that's it.
I was going. Can I make a quick point? If I get to make a quick point.
Yep.
I would love to see Lawrence Shankland actually, and I know he won't because he's club form, but I would love to see him start for the Scotland games. I think we're going to have a couple of friendlies in March. I would quite like to see him start because the guys have mentioned there, there'd be great chances for him. He's going to score goals. We've got a Scotland side that's got loads of creativity in it that can create chances for strikers. And I think that's one element that's been missing from the Scotland side, if I was to pick anything, is that we don't have an out-and-out goal scorer. If you get the ball to Lawrence Shankland in the box, he's going to put it in the net. So I'd quite like to see him given a chance. And while I'm on the subject, get Ben Doak in the squad, get Harvey Barnes in the squad, and see what they can do as well.
There you go. Scotland's going to win the Euros. That was the that was a Premiership preview.
Sorry.
Just quickly to tell you about the Championship games, because I want to come back to speak about Aberdeen. The game tonight, early against Queen's Park, quarter kickoff. Abrove against Brave Rovers, that's when under the water. The game's off. Confirming against Ayr United. Morton against Inverness, and Parket Thistle and Dundee United. I just wanted to make a point earlier on. I know that you come on, Dave, in the past half an hour, and also the Aberdeen game has been cancelled as well. But I just wanted you guys' comments on weight cut off English now, because we've had millions of comments tonight. Thanks for all your comments. Yeah, Paul Donaldson on Facebook made a comment. A fellow Aberdeen fan, Dave, on Facebook, made a comment about the Aberdeen game, because I was asking the question about why the game was 6 o'clock kickoff and all that. I know I was asking you yesterday as well, but he said that Aberdeen game wouldn't have been on TV. Aberdeen game wouldn't have been on TV. The clubs decided to move it to allow people to who couldn't normally make a 3 o'clock kickoff game, but means we still haven't had a 3 o'clock game on a Saturday at home this season. And the point I was going to make, Dave, was, do you feel as though that clubs now are going to move kickoff times to so that in-house club TV can buy it, the likes of Motherwell TV? They moved the Celtic game to 12:30 a couple of weeks ago. So do you think that clubs will now move the kickoff times to accommodate the fans so that they can watch it on their own club TV?
I think there's a part of that, absolutely. I mean, Dundee United did that last year when they played Aberdeen in October.
Yeah.
I mean, that worked very, very well for Dundee United, to my understanding. Obviously, played them. I obviously brought it up with Jim Good when I spoke to him yesterday.
Yeah, no, exactly.
He went to Tardis.
Yeah,
They went to Tardis to give you 4-0, and suddenly he's in the hot seat at Tardis. But yeah, I think it's a good initiative. I think there's a lot of grassroots clubs in Aberdeen. Same with Dundee as well, of course. There's a lot of grassroots clubs in Aberdeen that don't get a chance to go watch the first team at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. 3 o'clock is a traditional kick-off time, but at the same time, it does allow players, it does allow people that maybe don't have the opportunity because of work and various other factors to watch games. And also, Saturday night TV is not the most popular. You can maybe watch sports, but who wants to watch Strictly Come Dancing on a Saturday or X Factor? So having a kick-off time at 6 o'clock on a Saturday is not a bad shout whatsoever. I mean, I'm a traditionalist. 6 o'clock's obviously very, very good. And but to my understanding, there's obviously a decent enough crowd at the game tomorrow night. That game will now be a Tuesday or Wednesday night, unfortunately. And it's not far for Dundee to travel on the Wednesday. And still having things off, by the way. It's not an Aberdeen point, but yeah, unfortunately, I have to tell you, Stephen, that Harvey Barnes is, I'm led to believe, injured just now.
Yeah, but I think by the time the March friendlies come around, then he'll be okay for them. So hopefully.
Graham, a quick word on moving TV kickoff times to suit club TV. I mean, you shouldn't need to do that, but that's a situation that we're in.
Yeah, I mean, the joy of a fire stick, doesn't matter what time the games are, I can still see them. But yeah, I mean, I think that will happen more often. But listen, I think fans have got. The thing is, fans should always come first, and unfortunately, at times they don't. And we've seen that numerous times over the last few years. And the fact that Sky TV, I've mentioned it before, but the fact that Sky TV didn't show the Hearts Hibs game, which was a really good game, a 2-2 draw, and they never showed it. Shock horror.
Yeah, Graham, because you mentioned the fire stick, if you look at the door, I think that's the police at your door at the moment. And that's a good point to leave the show. Thanks for all your comments tonight. Thanks to Dave. Thanks to Stephen. Thanks to Graham at Save the Day. And thanks to Reagan that was on the early shift. We'll be back soon here on the Locker Room on Indie Live Radio and Independence Live. Enjoy your football if it's on. See you soon.